Hey Eagle fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now. We are about to get into some crazy news and rumors regarding the Philadelphia Eagles for this week. However, if you guys want to stay up to date for the latest offseason news, make sure you guys are subscribed because the offseason is here, and I'm predicting it's going to be the craziest Eagles offseason we have seen in a very long time. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Hit the big red subscribe button down below. That way you are ready to rock whenever we go ahead and do our latest videos. And also, not just news and rumor videos. We're going to do a Jim Schwartz. How about coming up, I think either tomorrow or the day after, replacement candidates for Jim Schwartz, who of course is leaving as the defensive coordinator here in 2021. All that and more coming up not only this week, but in this video. So stay tuned for that. All right, I mentioned it. A lot to go ahead and get into regarding the Philadelphia Eagles. We could talk about last night, in the loss. Who cares? They got the number 6 overall pick. More on that here in a little bit. The big news this weekend, though, is the ESPN Chris Mortensen report that Carson Wentz is planning to ask for a trade this offseason, that he wants out of Philadelphia, and that he will, like I said, demand that the team ship him somewhere else at the start of the new league year in March. Apparently, the relationship between Pederson is fractured beyond repair, which we'll talk about here in a second. And then that big date, the new league year starting on March 17th, meaning that is kind of the time frame right now for when a Wentz trade could potentially go ahead and take place. First, though, here is the official quote tweet from ESPN's Chris Mortensen on Carson Wentz saying, quote, Carson Wentz, his relationship with the Eagles is all but fractured. In fact, it is fractured. Wentz is expected to ask for a trade. He'll help their Eagles to facilitate a trade. The reaction of Jeffrey Lurie will be vital to this one, but clearly Wentz wants out of Philadelphia and a fresh start somewhere else. That will be the big story in the offseason, which is crazy to think about. We're at this point where Carson Wentz is officially, fractured beyond repair with his relationship with not only Doug Pederson, but Philadelphia, and he wants to go ahead and help facilitate a trade. Before we keep going, Doug Pederson was asked about this in the Zoom press conference yesterday after the game, and he said, quote, you know how I feel about Carson Wentz. I've got the utmost respect for him. I feel like we can correct these things together and get this back on track. That's my mindset going into the offseason. That's where I'm at. I still have total faith in Wentz and myself to get the job done. Wow, so that takes place, and then you fast forward to this morning where Mike Garfolo has this tweet via Twitter. We're just going through a whole bunch of stuff today. He says this, quote, Eagles GM Howie Roseman on Carson Wentz. When you have players like that, they're like fingers on your hand. You can't imagine that they're not a part of you and that they're not here. That's how we feel about Carson Wentz. That comes from the joint press conference that took place in Philadelphia today. It was a Zoom meeting. All of media was there. I was watching some of it myself, and it was Howie Roseman on one screen, Doug Pederson on the other screen, and they were talking about not only what they're going to do with Wentz, but what they're going to do with the offseason. That is the whole breakdown in terms of the facts regarding the Carson Wentz situation. We'll go ahead and jump into my thoughts on this here in 1 second. First off, do you guys want the Eagles to trade Wentz? Yes or no? Just because Wentz demands a trade doesn't mean that they will, but it looks like they are going to. If you want them to, go to the pinned comment down below, type Y for yes, type N down below for no. All right, here's the deal. I think Carson Wentz needs to be moved. If this report is true from Chris Mortensen that it is fractured beyond repair, then you have to go ahead and move off of Carson Wentz. It's that simple. There is no big debate here. You got to go ahead and move off from him, and obviously we've talked about ways that they can move off of him. The big one, of course, is doing it during the first 3 days of the new league year. That way you save $15 million in terms of Wentz's 2022 salary. However, there are different reports saying Wentz could void that 3-day trade deadline and push it back into May, therefore giving the Eagles more time to find trade partners. Either way, we've talked about the dead cap money, but trading Wentz seems to be like the most likely thing and the right move for Philadelphia. Now, let me just say this. If this report is wrong from Chris Mortensen and Carson Wentz comes out himself, it would take Wentz doing his own little press conference or tweet saying he wants to be in Philadelphia. I'm all for keeping him. All for it. I only would trade Carson Wentz if he is done in Philadelphia and does not want to play for the Philadelphia Eagles. He wants to stay, keep him. I think you keep him, try and rebuild through him, and get him back to, the great quarterback play that we've seen in the past. I think that they can do that. But I do not see this being a false report. I believe ESPN's Chris Mortensen, and I do believe that they will go ahead and shop Wentz somewhere and move him and then roll with Jalen Hurts, which is kind of the next conversation you must now get into. If Hurts is your starting quarterback, did you see enough of Jalen Hurts over his 4 starts to get you excited? Yes, the Eagles were moving the football against Washington last night. However, Hurts' numbers weren't that great. Throwing the football, he was 7 of 20 for 72 yards and a pick. Not ideal from what could be the starting quarterback of the future in Philadelphia. Comparing to Jalen Hurts versus his 12 starts for Carson Wentz versus Jalen Hurts' starts this year, and the numbers are, I guess, technically better, and you like the rushing ability, but it's not like Jalen Hurts went out there and balled out of his mind and proved that he has to be the quarterback in 2021. Either way, my guess is Carson Wentz is going to be moved at some point this offseason, probably in March. Might get pushed back to May. It will obviously be before the NFL draft. That's the the important thing to go ahead and note. And with that being said, your current quarterback depth chart without Carson Wentz would be Hurts and Nate Sudfeld, two quarterbacks we saw play for the Eagles there on Sunday Night Football. Okay, I also want to quickly touch on Zach Ertz and potentially what might have been his last game in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform last night against the Washington football team. Crazy, first off, that it possibly is his last game. He actually sat and was the final player to lead the field at Lincoln Financial Field, just sat on the bench in his uniform and just kind of took in the moment, it seemed like, what was, again, like we said, probably his last game in Philadelphia as a member of the Eagles. He was very emotional on Monday when asked about whether he'll return in 2021 or not. Read those comments here in just 1 second. But I think Philadelphia is looking at probably trading away or at least getting rid of one of the better tight ends, maybe even the best tight end in Philadelphia Eagles history in Zach Ertz. Here was his quote, and again, he was sobbing whenever he answered this question today. It's really kind of hard to watch. Quote, "I don't know. I want to be here from an individual standpoint. I don't know if I can answer that. I think this city is the best city to play for. Couldn't have asked for a better experience. The city means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. I am thankful." And you go back to, I think, Sunday afternoon whenever his brother of Zach Ertz, posted a very, heartfelt tribute to Zach, and Zach posted a nice Instagram post showing, himself an Eagle jersey and all the smoke around him leaving the tunnel to go out and play in his final game. 117 games in Philadelphia he has played, and again, no game bigger than Super Bowl 52 whenever he caught what was the game-winning slant touchdown pass from the tight end Nick Foles to essentially win the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots and give Philadelphia their first in franchise history. He's a legend. I think he should, never have to pay for a drink in Philadelphia. But again, business is business. This team is going to be making a lot of changes in the offseason. And with Dallas Goedert essentially proving to be a little bit more healthy and obviously a lot younger and cheaper, it does seem like Zach Ertz is on his way out, whether for the better or for the worse. And the Eagles will move on at the tight end position as Ertz costs a lot, is still under contract the next couple of years, and I think will still be able to do a nice trade. Imagine getting a third-round draft pick for Zach Ertz. That's another pick to go on for the 10 picks they already have, plus possibly even one or two more with the Carson Wentz trade. Philadelphia trying to add ammo and free up cap space for what it will be a very big and very important offseason in Philadelphia. Ask you guys this, though. What do you want them to do with Zach Ertz? You wanted them to keep him? You wanted to move on from him? Type K down below for keep. Type M down below for move on. I'd like to see him in Philadelphia. I mean, I'm not saying they should, get rid of Zach Ertz, but I do think it's a very highly a big possibility that they get rid of Ertz going forward. And I think Ertz knows that, hence why he was very emotional in his post-game press conference. Okay, let's move on here. There has been a lot of discussion this morning about how the Eagles tanked in their loss to the Washington football team on Sunday Night Football, locking up the number 6 overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. Pederson clearly tanked. We obviously know this because he pulled Jalen Hurts out of a 3-point ball game late in the second half and put in Nate Sudfeld, who had not played a single snap, and yet people are mad. First off, Giants fans should cry a little bit more. Like, Giants fans, go cry a little bit more. Sorry, your 6-win sorry football team did not go ahead and win the division. Maybe win more games instead of having to rely on a obviously tanking Eagles team to beat Washington in the final game of the year. So Giants fans, I could care less. Everybody else, though, should fully understand the Eagles were right to go ahead and tank because you got a much better draft pick than had you won. Drop a like if you guys agree, right? Drop a like if you guys were rooting for the Eagles to go ahead and lose last night. If you were rooting for the Eagles to win, maybe explain why, because it literally does nothing for Philadelphia. Losing this game does not hurt their 2021 rebuild efforts. Winning this football game definitely does, because it would go ahead and make them the 9th overall pick versus the 6th overall pick, and 6 is a lot better. Before I go ahead and show you guys the Eagles draft picks in full detail, make sure you guys, again, are subscribed to the channel, because Draft Nuts is going to be, the main focus of this channel for the next couple of months. Free agency, draft, defensive coordinator hirings, everything going on in Philadelphia. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Okay, so here are your official picks for Philadelphia right now. They have 6 overall, 37 overall, 70, 134, and 140. So no 4th round draft picks there early on, but the 3 in the first rounds are going to be very, very important to the future success of the Philadelphia Eagles. They also have 165. They have the 2 compensation picks for the Jordan Howard trade and the Ronald Darby trade. Their 198, and then the Camus Grugier-Hill trade compensation there in the 7th round. So that is 10 overall picks. But the one that I am focused on here is the one the Eagles earned by losing last night, and that is number 6 overall. Take a look at some of the players taken number 6 overall over the last couple of drafts, 2 of which are quarterbacks, and one you can argue pretty good, Justin Herbert. Jury's still out there on Daniel Jones, but a lot of good players. Quentin Nelson, 2018. Jamal Adams in 2017. Ronnie Stanley, very good left tackle. Injured right now, but good for the Baltimore Ravens. That means, I think it shows that number 6 overall gives you a really high chance of getting a very good player. And we've talked about a lot of the options that they have, whether it's Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith or Patrick Surtain or any of the other great top 10 draft picks. I've said before many times, there are about 8 elite players in this draft, and then the rest are potentially good players, but kind of iffy players. And the fact that you are inside the top 6 now, really the top 8, means you're going to get your shot at one of the 8 elite players who can make instant impacts right now in Philadelphia. I've said my draft needs. We'll talk more about these as the days and weeks and months go by. Wide receiver and cornerback to me are the top 2 draft needs right now. Defensive end and linebacker are also needs, and all 4 of those positions do have elite players in this NFL draft, especially wide receiver, cornerback, and linebacker, a.k.a. Micah Parsons. So look for Philadelphia to probably stay at 6 and take the best player available at the best position of need, meaning they will get an impactful player this draft, something they have not really done well early with their first-round draft picks over the last couple of years. Who would you guys take at number 6 overall if you were picking right now? Who do you guys want? I want to read those draft comments down below because I'm leaning towards Devontae Smith. Some people want Jamar Chase. It could be Patrick Surtain. There are a lot of good options there. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments section. Before we get into the whole coaching situation regarding Doug Pederson and Jim Schwartz and Howie Roseman, I want to quickly go ahead and give you guys my picks of the wild card weekend in the NFC via our friends at BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/EaglesBet. Use that promo code Eagles125 to go ahead and get a 125% deposit bonus whenever you first sign up. Put $100 down and then bet on some of these locks. I think Seattle is an easy lock, -4.5 versus the Rams. The Rams have quarterback issues with Jared Goff's injury. I bet he plays against the Seattle Seahawks, but I don't think he's going to be effective against Seattle, listen, they played a good San Francisco 49ers scrappy team on Sunday. A close win there, but a win nonetheless. I like Seattle at home in this one. The Bucs, I think they're going to roll Washington. Listen, -8 is kind of a big number. If it was -6.5, I'd feel a lot more confident about the Bucs. But I don't think Washington can score with Tampa Bay, and I think Tampa Bay is going to be able to neutralize that front 4 by Washington. Give me the Bucs -8. I think the Bears cover versus the Saints. 9.5 is a little bit too much for what is a revitalized Bears football team. I'll take the Bears to cover, not to win, but to keep it within a 1-score game versus the New Orleans Saints when they play in Wild Card Weekend. Okay, final bit of news here, and that is, of course, the obvious. Howie Roseman will be returning in 2021. Doug Pederson will also be returning in 2021. However, Jim Schwartz, and we talked about this earlier, he is contemplating retirement. He might take a year off, but he has already said he will not return in 2021, meaning it's going to be an interesting offseason because you keep your GM, you keep your head coach, but now you need a defensive coordinator. Let's first start here with the Jay Glazer Fox Sports comments on what's going on in Philadelphia. Quote, "We're going to go with guys I do believe are safe. Doug Pederson a couple of weeks ago didn't look like that. He's going to make a bunch of changes on his staff and also his general manager, Howie Roseman. He looks to be on the hot seat. He's not. He'll return in Philly as well." So that gives you the update we're telling you guys right here that Howie is safe, Doug is safe, and that goes on the heels of the press conference they had, the joint one in Philadelphia, which kind of assured the fact that both of them will go ahead and return this season. The Eagles coaching staff will need major changes and does need some major changes, not just defensive coordinator-wise, and we'll talk more about that here a little bit later on, but they need to, I think, take a look at quarterback coach, offensive coordinator potentially, maybe even special teams coordinator. There are a lot of positions that I think can be changed, moved, and up for grabs. I, again, expect this to be the craziest offseason in Philadelphia Eagle recent history, not only from a draft and free agent and tradable player-only standpoint, but also from a coaching standpoint, because I think the Eagles announced, I think Howie Roseman hinted today in his press conference that they're looking to do more of a full-term rebuild and not a short-term, win-now situation. They want to get back to where they were in 2017, and doing that is going to take a lot more changes than one season could potentially go ahead and offer. I will say this again, we're going to go ahead and do a video either tomorrow or the day after giving you some defensive coordinator coaching replacements for Jim Schwartz, because you got to shore that thing up, because Schwartz has been, at times, one of the better defensive coordinators in the National Football League. I'll have my list coming up here in just a little bit. But I'll ask you guys this, though. Who do you want the Eagles to hire as their defensive coordinator of the future going into 2021? Let me know down below in the comments section. Stay tuned for that video as well coming up here in the next couple of days. There you go. I'll tell you for today here on Philadelphia Eagles Now, the first of many crazy new news and rumors that will be coming out over the next couple of weeks and months in Philadelphia. Stay tuned here to Eagles Now, your one-stop shop for everything going on regarding the Philadelphia Eagles. Happy New Year. We got a crazy offseason ahead of us. Glad you're with us and glad you can hang on for the ride. Ultimately, for today here on Philadelphia Eagles Now, I'm your host, Thomas Mott, signing off for the rest of your day.